Andrew.
Makes it more difficult.
Yeah. Can you go to YouTube and look up 2% rule Ben Patrick? Now, I was texting Ben. He was going back and forth with me about something that he's doing. And by the way, guys, he's been getting fucking muscle. Ben's been getting like yacked. When I saw this video of him talking, look at his like we can just see this shit from the thumbnail. Look at his fucking shoulders. Ben is getting bigger. But I think people should just go check out that video when you have the time. But his how he looks at progression, I know this powerlifting, you can't necessarily always do just 2%, but the way that he's progressing himself is he's just doing 2% more each session. And 2% many times is a very small amount of weight, and it's a very doable thing. But a few things that it does is it allows an individual to work with a little bit more weight, but it also allows them not to work with so much weight that they won't be able to achieve it, right? So you're always getting a small amount of progressive overload, but you're never progressing so much that it becomes unsafe and you work with weights you shouldn't be working with, then risk injury. Because what happens when most people are focusing on the power lifts and gaining strength, like that weight on the bar, is that they end up putting too much weight on the bar, weight that they're not actually ready to work with because they believe they can. They grind it out and pop, 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 something happens here or there, and then they're out of the game for a little bit. But, you know, if you can watch that video that he put, because I think it was really well done, and maybe take some of that concept of some of the 2% rule for your progress. It takes a long time to get to an X weight, but the thing is you're going to get there safely, and you're going to be having consistent progression as you get there. Now, to kind of take this out of the realm of powerlifting and into more general lifting, the way that I look at my lifts nowadays and the way that I look at my what I do in the weight room is, number one, I'm more focused on movement stuff. I still lift, don't get me wrong, more focused on movement stuff. But when I do lift, I really don't think I'm going to be ever doing singles. Like singles maybe, but these singles are going to be at like 80%, 90%. I don't see a reason or the necessity of doing a 100% 1RM because the cost the risk far outweighs the benefit that I'm getting. I might be able to do it successfully, but if I don't, I'm out for a little bit. So I can still work with heavy weight and get the stimulus. Instead of focusing on the weight, I'm more so focused on the stimulus of what I feel, how it feels for me. Are my muscles getting stimulated well? Is it relatively heavy for me? But with those two things happening, am I able to do this safely? If I can do that, I don't necessarily care that much about, oh, this is a 600-pound, 500-pound deadlift. What I care about is, what is the stimulus I'm getting? Is my muscles feeling this? Is this, because it is beneficial to work with heavy load. But again, heavy not in the context of social media, but heavy in the context of what my body feels. And if I'm getting that stimulus, I know that I'm heading in the right direction. I'm getting the stimulus my body needs to potentially gain muscle, maintain muscle, my bone density benefits, all of that. But, you know, because of social, a lot of people will work with certain weights or lift certain things that maybe they shouldn't be, and it kind of puts them at more of a it's more dangerous for them rather than being beneficial in the long run. If more athletes can focus on that, focus on slower progression rather than just the weight on the bar, they'd probably get away with less injuries or no injuries in their athletic careers.
There's a lot of really good points right there. There's so many things that dictate like the weight on the bar. The exercise is a huge one. Even the very exercise that you select determines the load almost automatically. Once the exercise is selected and once the load is kind of almost like determined, I guess you'd say, then the reps start to fall into place. So the weights dictate the reps and the reps dictate the weight. So if you told me, Mark, you know, here's a great chest workout I did the other day, you give this a shot. He said, I want you to go and do 4 sets of 8 incline dumbbell bench press.
Hey guys, I want to tell you about Merrick Health, the premium telehealth clinic owned by Derek for More Plates, More Dates. Now, when some people think about Merrick Health, they think it's just another one of those testosterone companies or another one of those blood work companies. But Merrick Health is really cool because, yeah, you can get your blood work done, you can get hormone optimization, but you can also get nootropics. You can also get Viagra. You can get literally whatever you need from that clinic. And they make it very, very easy for you. that's why we love Merrick. So, Andrew, how can people learn about it?
Yes, Merrick Health is not just a one-trick pony, but if you did want to get your labs done, we highly recommend the Power Project panel. That's 28 different labs. That's also going to come with a client care coordinator that's going to give you a lab analysis, and they're going to work with you and help you optimize your body. Again, that's at merrickhealth.com/powerproject. At checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save $101 off that entire panel. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
After that, you're going to do cable flies, and after that, you're going to do dips. Right away in my head, 4 sets of 8. He wants me to challenge myself. He wants me to go with weights that are pretty heavy. When I get, and also the rest interval in between the set would matter a lot too.
Yeah.
If you said I only want you to rest for 30 seconds, well, now you just changed the weight on me.
Yes.
Because maybe when you said 4 sets of 8, I'm thinking, that would be a really good challenge for me to handle like 90 to 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But then you said 30 seconds rest, and I'm like, I better go down to like the 60s or the 70s because that's going to be fucking challenging, right? It changes the training effect too. It changes everything. I'm also going to be more fatigued when I go into the cable crossovers because I didn't get as much rest, and I'm going to have more of a pump.
Yeah.
But cable crossovers, what's the rep range for cable crossovers? Automatically, my brain's going to 12 to 15. And why is my brain going to that 12 to 15 range? Maybe even higher. Maybe if it's like a triple drop set where I do like 30 reps. Well, why does that happen? Well, it's because it's kind of odd to get into like a cable crossover position in the first place. And with my shoulders the way they are, and like I don't want to put like 100 pounds on a cable crossover because it will feel like it's kind of ripping my shit apart. So I'm going to go with a modest weight, and I'm going to go with lighter weight. I'm going to do 12 to 15 reps. Maybe I'll do a drop set, or maybe I'll have short rest interval in between. By the time I go to the dips, now it's a body weight exercise, and you might have even given me a rep range, but I might bypass the rep range and just say, let me just see how it feels on my own. He said 4 sets of 20. Fuck, man, I'm actually really up against it right now. I'm having a hard time. My arms are shaking.
Yeah.
Let me stick with like 4 sets of 12. You know, so the exercises that we select are big determining factors in the weights that we use, the rep ranges. When I talk about people utilizing like singles and doubles and triples, I think it's immensely valuable for people. But I'm not talking about them going to the edge. I'm not talking about them like risking their fucking life, you know, for these singles.
Yeah.
That's powerlifting. And that's the sport of powerlifting. And that is very specific. And I think that can have value. But if somebody, was to tell me that, hey, you know, you get to train Steph Curry for a little while, you know, and he came in, like, I'm not going to have him do heavy singles. Would I have him do some singles of deadlifts and some triples of deadlifts? Sure. That would actually be like one of the first places I would start. But it would be with weights that are moving really, really well, and weights that were really light. Something else I find really interesting is Greg Glassman, the creator of CrossFit. He was saying he doesn't understand why people chose to use in circuit training. This is how he came up with CrossFit. He didn't understand why people utilize such garbage exercises in circuit training.
Okay.
It's like, why wouldn't you pick harder exercises?
What do you mean? Like, what was his idea of some garbage exercises?
Garbage exercises would just be like, I don't know, you do, let's say you do like dumbbell bench press, and you do some like step ups, and then after that you do like a lat pull down.
Okay.
Those aren't garbage exercises necessarily, but they're not really hard exercises.
Yeah.
Step up might be a little challenging depending on how high and if you're using weight and stuff like that, right? So he was like, what happens if there's like a clean in there? What happens if you go all out on a fucking bike? And what happens if you, in between that, are doing a fucking rope climb or toes to bar or something like that? It's like, we just changed the whole goddamn thing. Who knows what this system looks like? Who knows what this program looks like? So interesting. But I mean, you know, people can get hurt when you're doing things like that, CrossFit style, because now you got time domains and people are in a real rush. So whenever we start to jack up the intensity of what it is we're doing, or we try to go fast, intensity being the weight on the bar, or we try to go fast, that's when your original question, Andrew, about like worrying about, getting hurt. Nsima pointed out the 2% stuff, like very small percentage jumps. Maybe week 1, maybe use 50% of where you think you should be. Like, go really light. You know, like if you're like, well, I think last time I squatted, I used like 225.
Yeah.
If you go to the gym and you're like, should I use 135 for this or 95? The answer is 95 every time. Should I use 135 or 185? Use 135. Should I use 225 or should I use 275 or 245? Use 245 every time. Always go with that lower weight. Do that shit first. Make sure shit's comfortable. Make sure your body. Every day is new. Every day is a new day. Your body's gonna feel different every day.
Yeah.
Always choose the lighter weight.
And then, when you're talking about the lifting heavier loads, I think that as whatever stage you're in as a lifter, when you're newer, you're not going to be as comfortable or as confident moving heavy loads for yourself. That's why it's good to build the confidence of working with lighter loads over time and building up that intensity over time. Because when you are more advanced and you are doing triples, doubles, singles, number one, you have the skill, but number two, you're more confident. Like when you approach the bar that has 405 or 500 pounds or whatever, you know that this is going to fucking move. Hey, how's it? Sorry, I'm not going to whisper. I know you guys are enjoying this content, and we love talking to all these people and bringing you guys great information. So if you could help us out by hitting the like button, because that helps the algorithm, subscribe and hit the notification bell, we're going to continue reaching more people, and we're going to continue helping more people. Talk to y'all later.